Blessed Salvio Huix Miralpeix was born on December 22nd, 1877, in Santa Margarita de Velos in the Diocese of Vic in Catalonia, Spain. The young Salvio entered the local minor seminary at the age of 10 and was ordained into the priesthood on the 19th of September, 1903. He worked first as a country curate, and then in 1907, at the age of 30, he entered the Vic Oratory in Catalonia, Spain. The fathers at Vic rose at 4:30 a.m. every day except on Sundays and feast days, and after an hour of mental prayer, they would hear confessions in church, and after the last penitent had been shriven, they would say their masses at the side altars in the church. They also visited the sick and catechized the children. Father Salvio became aware that there was nothing provided to help young married men who seemed to have little part in the life of the church. He felt that religion which attracted only women and children was deficient, so he started a confraternity for married men under the patronage of Saint Joseph. He got those men to help the sick not just by visiting them, but also by looking after their material needs. He himself was not afraid to get his hands dirty, and when he wasn't busy in the confessional or teaching at the seminary, he was most likely to be found tending the sick, washing them, and changing their bed linen. By 1927, Father Salvio was provost of the Vic Oratory and was then nominated as Bishop of Ibiza. As bishop, he showed himself to be a caring pastor and very practical. His clergy were impecunious, and he organized a life insurance scheme to guarantee them some security in their old age. In 1931, Spain was declared a republic. Within a few weeks, the new regime made itself felt. In Madrid and elsewhere, convents were ransacked and burned. The Jesuits were suppressed. The Archbishop of Toledo was expelled. All schools run by religious orders were closed. Cemeteries were secularized and Catholic burials were forbidden. All crucifixes were ordered to be removed from the cemeteries. In Ibiza, men carried the great crucifix from the cemetery to the cathedral doors, where the bishop himself carried it to the sanctuary. Bishop Salvio was not intimidated by the anti-religious regime, and in his Lenten pastoral letter in 1932, he told his people that even though the dogs bark and the pigs grunt, the sun and the moon will continue to shine. He remained Bishop of Ibiza for 8 years, and then in 1935 was transferred to the Diocese of Lerida on mainland Spain. In July of 1936, the Spanish Civil War broke out. Between July of 1936 and March of 1937, there was a terrible onslaught of violence against the church and thousands of people were killed. By the end of the war, 6,832 priests and religious had been killed, including 12 bishops and 283 religious sisters. On the 18th of July, there was a military uprising against the Republic government. 2 days later, the city of Lerida was in the hands of Republican forces, who burned the cathedral and the churches of the city. In only a few months, 80% of the priests of the diocese were killed. The last photograph of Bishop Salvio, taken in June of 1936, shows him flanked by the priest he had just ordained. On the night of the 21st of July, after Republicans had burned the cathedral, they turned their attention to the episcopal residence. Whilst they were beating down the doors, Bishop Salvio, his secretary, the porter, and the porter's daughter confessed, consumed the Blessed Sacrament, and escaped by the back door. Bishop Salvio took refuge in the house of his gardener, but realizing the danger to which he was exposing the gardener and his family, he gave himself up to the police. The police promptly handed him over to the Republicans, who imprisoned him. Many of the leading people of the city and a number of the clergy were already in the prison. All were struck by the bishop's cheerfulness and his continuing care for his flock. The bishop even celebrated Mass while in captivity. Early in the morning, on the 5th of August, the feast of Our Lady of the Snows, The bishop and 20 others were told that they were going to be taken for trial at Barcelona. Outside the city, the lorry stopped by the cemetery and the prisoners were told to get out. Realizing they were about to be killed, the group asked their bishop for his blessing. He blessed them, saying, "Be brave, for within the hour we shall be reunited in the presence of the Lord." They recited the credo together and were made to dig their own graves. Bishop Salvio was offered the chance of saving his life if he would abjure the faith. He refused, but asked as a favor that he might be the last to die. As each was killed, the bishop blessed them. One of the militiamen objected to that blessing and shot him through the hand, so he continued to bless them with his left hand. Bishop Salvio Huix Miralpeix was martyred for the faith and showed himself a true pastor in caring for his flock until the very end. Blessed Salvio Huix Miralpeix, pray for us.